Will the number of aircraft carriers of China and the United States be equal in 2035?
As reported by the U.S. Naval Institute, USNI, on July 8, according to the U.S. Navy's fiscal year 2026 budget documents, the delivery of the second Ford-class aircraft carrier, the USS John F. Kennedy, CVN-79, has been pushed back by another 2 years, with the new planned delivery date set for March 2027. Under the fiscal year 2025 budget plan, the Kennedy was supposed to be delivered this July, that is, this month. This implies that if the USS Nimitz is decommissioned, the number of active aircraft carriers in the U.S. Navy will drop to 10 within approximately a year. Moreover, given that the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower is also scheduled to be decommissioned in 2027, the number of U.S. military aircraft carriers may see a further decline in the future. The latest U.S. Navy's fiscal year 2026 shipbuilding budget proposal states, the delivery date of the USS John F. Kennedy has been rescheduled from July 2025 to March 2027 to support the completion of the certification for the advanced arresting gear and to continue advancing the installation of the advanced weapons, elevators. A spokesperson for General Atomics, the manufacturer of the advanced arresting gear, did not immediately respond to requests for comment. The report notes that the USS Nimitz, which has been in service with the U.S. Navy for 50 years, is planned to be decommissioned in May next year. This means that in the nearly 1-year period before the delivery of the USS John F. Kennedy, the number of active aircraft carriers in the U.S. Navy will decrease from 11 to 10. The USS John F. Kennedy has encountered multiple delays during its construction. As early as 2023, its delivery date was postponed from June 2024 to 2025. The latest budget proposal also indicates that the delivery of the third Ford-class carrier, the USS Enterprise, will be delayed by 1 year, with the new target delivery date being July 2030. A Navy spokesperson told USNI News in a statement, "The Navy is exploring the possibility of initially accepting the vessel prior to its official delivery and is coordinating closely with stakeholders to ensure a swift transition to a fleet, operational, and combat-capable aircraft carrier." Regarding the cause of the USS John F. Kennedy's delay, a spokesperson for Huntington Ingalls Industries, the company constructing the carrier, stated that it was because the Kennedy was built too quickly, leading to the issues of the lead Ford-class ship, the USS Gerald R. Ford, being carried over to the Kennedy. The lead ship, the USS Gerald R. Ford, took 12 years from the start of construction to its commissioning, while the Kennedy, which began construction in 2011, has not yet undergone sea trials. In a statement, the company's spokesperson said, "Specifically, the construction of the USS John F. Kennedy was rather expeditious. Although we had already identified many lessons learned from the USS Gerald R. Ford at that time, the fast pace of construction prevented us from promptly implementing them in the construction of the Kennedy." The spokesperson assured that the USS Enterprise, which started construction in 2017, and the USS Doris Miller, initiated in 2021, have been able to integrate and apply the lessons from the Ford during the early stages of their construction, so they will not encounter similar delays. Believe it or not, I, for one, do. The 3 Nimitz-class carriers that entered service in the 1980s. The third vessel, the USS Carl Vinson in 1982. The fourth, the USS Theodore Roosevelt in 1986. And the fifth, the USS Abraham Lincoln in 1989, will also reach their decommissioning time by 2035. Due to the continued decline of the U.S. shipbuilding industry, its ship repair capabilities have been significantly impaired. A large number of existing ships are still waiting in line for repairs, and auxiliary vessels have started to be repaired by South Korea and Japan. The condition of the 5 Nimitz-class carriers that entered service after the 1990s is also not optimal, and there is a possibility that they will be scrapped early, similar to the Ticonderoga-class cruisers that the U.S. Navy commissioned in the 1990s. Given the capabilities of the U.S. shipbuilding industry, it can at most have the Ford-class USS Enterprise in service by 2035. If the shipbuilding industry deteriorates further, it is very likely that even the Enterprise will not be commissioned, leaving only the Ford-class USS John F. Kennedy in service. At that point, the U.S. is likely to have only 8 active carriers. Several more Nimitz-class carriers that entered service after the 1990s are scrapped early. The U.S. might not even have 7 active carriers. On the other side of the ocean, reports emerged last year that 2 aircraft carriers were started simultaneously in the North and South. With China's speed in building aircraft carriers, it typically takes only 5 to 6 years from the start of construction to commissioning. There is a high probability that the Chinese Navy will have 7 aircraft carriers in service by 2035, and if those on the shipyards are included, therefore, 2035 is very likely to be the golden cross point in the number of active aircraft carriers between China and the United States.